Hey now, hey now. Hey now, hey now. Have you ever...
Hey guys, and welcome to a new DCP video. I figured while waiting for other information and just waiting for my arrival date, I would give you some insider tips on the application process, the web-based interview, and the phone interview. Now, I know I talked a little bit about it in my acceptance video, but I figured I would get more into it to help other people that want to apply. So first, you're going to have the application, and it's just going to be really simple. You're just filling out your name, your birthday, where you go to school, the major, work experience, and then just a few simple questions. Then, if you're lucky and they like your application, you'll go on to the web-based interview. And they'll email you and tell you you can take it. So when you take the web-based interview, I have just a few tips for you. It's timed, but don't let that bother you. Okay, you're going to have so much time, plenty of time to read through each question and answer very carefully. You might get a little overwhelmed because if they say it's timed, you only have a certain amount, but you have plenty of time. Just relax and don't really worry about it. I mean, don't take forever on each question, but you have plenty of time. My next tip is to be honest. If you're trying to think oh, well, what do they want to hear? Don't do that. Just be honest with them, and if you're being too cheesy and answering every single one not how you would, they're gonna catch on and know, and that's just, you shouldn't do that. They want you to be honest, so just be honest with yourself and with them. Next, read each question, and I read them out loud because that often helps, because some of them are not tricky, but some of them are the same question just worded differently. So they would be are you ever late to work? And then the other one would be are you never late to work? But they would word it better than that. I just can't think of a good example right now. But that is something they would do. So you just have to read each question very carefully and make sure you know what they're asking. Another thing on the web-based interview is they ask you lists of questions to know what kind of personality you have and what type of work ethic you have. So the list of options they give you for answers are strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and then strongly disagree. If you are saying agree or disagree to something, say that you strongly do it. Don't just say agree, because then you'll seem wishy-washy. They want to make sure that you are exact with what you want and you know how you are and you know what you want. So make sure you say strongly agree or strongly disagree if you feel that way. Another thing, try to mark as very little neutral. I mean, I know I told you to be honest, but don't just say neutral for everyone, because then they're not going to get a idea of who you are, and then you're just defeating the purpose. So that's all I have to say about the web-based interview. Now, the phone interview. Once you make it past the web-based interview, they'll tell you immediately whether you made it through or not to the phone interview. If not, they tell you to reapply when you can, and if you do, they say you're going to get an email to schedule your phone interview. So, I had my phone interview on February 4th. I applied to the program, I believe, on the January 26th, so I didn't even have to wait that long, which was very nice. To schedule your phone interview, it's just a little calendar online, and they give you a list of times. I had mine, I believe it was at 9:30 or 9:45. 9:30. And what was interesting was I had changed my phone number to use my landline instead of my cell phone, but I guess they still had the old information because she called my cell phone, which ended up being fine. Usually I just have not so good service in my room, but it ended up being fine. So, the phone interview. I have lots of tips for that one, and I'm also going to share some questions that she asked me and how I responded. So, with the phone interview, everyone gets super nervous about it. I know I was super nervous. I had already done it before though, because I applied last year and I got a phone interview and didn't make it through past that. I would say the most important thing is to remember to smile, because when you smile you just sound so much happier and more excited, exuberant, and it helps so much. And to make sure that I kept smiling, I actually had my laptop open with photo booth, and anytime I would just glance over and see that I wasn't smiling, so I would smile again, so I would sound excited again. And it's weird because it seems ridiculous, but I promise it helps. Another thing with the interview, make sure you look at questions before the actual interview. I know some people are just like, well, I'm just going to say what's from my heart. I wouldn't do that. I would be prepared, just because you don't want to sit there and be like, I don't know, and just bumble. So I would definitely look over some questions before your interview. Also, the interviewer might call early or they might call later. So make sure you are ready about 15 minutes before your phone interview. And then if you don't get it right on the dot when it's supposed to be, they do that too. So it could be 15 minutes after your interview time. I wouldn't be too worried about that. Just make sure you're ready and where you want to be during the phone interview. Also for the phone interview, I was just sitting here on the floor. You can't see it, but I was sitting here on the floor in my room, and my laptop open with my smiling face so I can tell. Then I had also a little picture of Walt Disney, and if you can dream it, you can do it, because it was just really good inspiration. And then I had these papers that I made. This was enough papers to do everything. It's a pretty thick stack. But I had them spread out all around me. And I wasn't necessarily looking at them because I had already looked over them and knew what I was going to say. But I did have them spread out in case she did ask me something and I was like, So I would just look for a keyword and then see what I had said. It was a very quick process though, because you don't want to just sit there and be like, hang on, let me look that up. So it's more of a guide, and it helped me feel more comfortable, even though I think I looked at it maybe once or twice. So it was more of a comfort thing. I also hung up this sign on my bedroom door because I live in a suite, so people can be in the common room, but you can hear them through here. So I made this sign, and it says, "Shh, Disney College phone interview in session," with a picture of Mickey. And that really helped my suite know that I was doing something. They already all knew because I told them, but it reminded them and made sure they stayed quiet. I also had this little cheat sheet where it was just a little thing, so I gave myself my top roles, which mine were recreation, main entrance, operations, and attractions. Spoiler alert, I didn't get any of them. I got quick service, which is fine. I'm very happy with that. And next to the role, I also said why I thought I wanted it, well, why I thought I was qualified. And then underneath that, I have tips, which was smile, breathe, because sometimes you just get so worked up, you just forget to breathe, and then you sound like a hot mess. Look in a mirror, which be yourself. Sound excited and be bubbly. Because sometimes I have the tendency to, when I'm talking a lot, I'll start just droning out my voice, and then I just sound so uninterested. So I wanted to make sure I was very excited and happy and the whole time. And then right under that, I had 2 quotes, which was, "If you can dream it, you can do it, and you will be part of that world," which really, really helped me. I know that doesn't work for everyone, but quotes are something really strong for me, and they just move me in that way, so it really helped me out. Also, because I was doing it right in this room, I had my posters here, my pictures of all my friends, and all my plushies, and it just made me feel very comfortable. I would try and do the phone interview somewhere where you feel most comfortable, because you're doing a thing that would make you nervous, like naturally. So you want to be in the most comfortable situation you can be. So, with that said, some of the interview questions she asked me, my interviewer was Carrie, and she was so sweet and so nice. I loved her. Some questions she asked me were, because of previous jobs, what do I think I was most qualified for? Like I said, I was only a camp counselor and I worked at a library. I thought I was most qualified for recreation because I was the recreation counselor at the camp that I volunteered at for 8 years, which I worked from children from ages 3 to 12, and that was that, and I said a little bit else too. I also said I thought I was qualified for main gates because I welcome everyone that comes into the library with a warm smile and a hello, and I think at one point I also said I was qualified for character attendant because I also told stories at the library, so I had experience doing that. So, yeah, that was my answer to those questions. Then she asked how my major would relate to jobs, which that one was kind of tough because I wasn't sure. My major is production, so I was like, well, I don't know if that's related to any of these, but I did say that in my major I have to do a lot of public speaking, so that would certainly help me out with any role. But I think I used it in most favor with attractions for delivering long spiels and things like that. She asked me a few questions about roommates, how I felt about living with up to 8 roommates or up to 7 roommates, how I would deal with conflicts if we had them, such as what if they weren't respecting you, or they just different little disagreements and things like that you might have with the roommate. And I said I gave her a story. I'm gonna just look for other questions she might ask. Oh, also, she asked me about quick service, obviously, because that is my role. She asked me if I would mind doing it, and I said, no, of course not. And she also asked if I had experience with a cash register, which I haven't had experience with that. I have dealt with money a little bit, but not that much. And she asked me about working conditions, whether I would prefer outside or inside, and I said I don't really have a preference. If I like to work alone or in a group, and I believe I gave kind of a long-winded answer, but at the end I said I like working alone. She asked me how I would react if I messed up my spiel. She asked me if I felt comfortable lifeguarding, and she also asked me if I felt comfortable driving a large tram. For lifeguarding, I did say yes, and then she asked me if I thought I could pass a swim test, which I also said yes to. I didn't just say yes, I said, well, I grew up on an island, so I grew up swimming. So yes, I think I could pass the swim test. And then with the trams, I said I didn't feel comfortable operating a large vehicle like that. She also asked if I had a valid U.S. license. Let's see what else. Oh, she asked if I was willing to work in another role during off-season for recreation, and I said yes. I think it would be incredible to say that I was in 2 roles. I believe she asked me what I was looking forward to in the program, which I just said meeting people from all around the world, gaining work experience, and I also said playing in the parks on my days off, because that is exciting. What else did she ask? Oh, she asked me if I've ever had to deal with an emergency. And I have, actually. I've had to deal with a few emergencies. It was within my family, but it was still things that I was involved with and had to help with. So I'm not going to say I'm lucky to have dealt with emergencies, but it's good that I have had the background. So now if someone asks me what I would do, or if they ask me if I've dealt with one, yes, I have. But if you haven't, you can either say no, but I'm very calm in those types of situations, or, you could make one up. I wouldn't, but you could. Let's see. Oh, she asked me how I would handle a guest that doesn't speak my language. I told her I would use lots of hand signals, and if it really just wasn't working, I would try to find someone else that could help them. What else? She asked me what I liked and disliked about my job now, which I said I like working with the people and talking to them, and then I said I don't really like it gets very slow. She did ask me also about when I've had to work with a difficult guest, or something like that. So I gave her an example with a child, saying how he lost a game and was just very upset about it, and I told him, no, we're all winners, and then I let him be the mini leader for the day and help me run the other games. Then she asked if I could give an example with an adult, and I didn't give her a very specific example. I just said a lot of times people come in to the library very short-tempered and want to get in, get out, but they ask for obscure things, so we need to do some time looking through the computer and then actually go find the book or movie or whatever it is that they want. So I gave her that kind of example, and then just said, as long as you stay nice and patient, they're more likely to warm up and not be so, I need to go, let's get out of here, and be rude. So as long as you stay as calm and relaxed and happy as you can, the person they won't get more angry with you. They might be upset that you're taking long, but then they're going to get the item they want. And then some questions I asked my interviewer. I actually only asked 1 or 2 questions. I asked how rooming works. I kind of knew already, but I wanted to get a direct answer, and it was an excuse to get a question. And I asked her how did her Disney career start. And when I asked her that, she was like, well, we want to make this interview all about you, but... And she had actually started with the Disney College program in the 90s, so that was really exciting to see that she's still working with the company and still likes it and everything. And then that was pretty much it. My interview started at 9:50. It lasted 21 minutes, which I thought was a good amount of time. I know some people, my interview before that only lasted 13 minutes. But that doesn't really matter as long as you feel like you've answered the questions thoroughly, and I know people who have had 9-minute interviews and have gotten accepted. I don't really know how they get all the information they need in 9 minutes, but I have heard it happening, and then I've heard other people say their interview was 35 minutes. I haven't really heard anything over that. I think that's just too excessive, but I think I had a good middle time, and it was good. So yeah, that's all I really have to say. And applications for spring, spring, will come out in August. Or they did last year. Yeah, they come out in August, and they'll be open for a while. So that's the next time you can apply, is in August for Spring Advantage or Spring. And yeah, I hope everyone that applies gets in, and I hope my tips have helped you, and I hope you watch this video and they help you. And yeah, I can't wait to share more of my adventure with you guys. I'm going to do another video very soon about my bucket list, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my roommates, because I know who I'm going to be living with. I love them, they're great people, and I'll talk about them in the next video. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.